We are continuing Flora and Ulysses today with Chapter 42, Foreboding. Her father pulled the car into the driveway and cut the engine. The windshield wipers let out a surprised squeak and then froze in mid-wave. The rain slowed to a trickle. The sun came out from behind a cloud and then disappeared again, and the smell of ketchup melded with butterscotch rose with a gentle persistence from the seats of the car. "Here we are," said her father. "Yup," said Flora. "Here we are. 412 Belgrade Avenue." It was the house that Flora had lived in for the whole of her life. But something was different about it. Something had changed. What was it? Ulysses crawled up onto her shoulder. She put her hand on him. The house looked sneaky somehow, almost as if it were up to no good. Foreboding. That was the word that popped into Flora's head. The house seemed full of foreboding. Do inanimate objects, couches, chairs, spatulas, etc., absorb the energy of the criminals, the wrongdoers among whom they live? The criminal element had queried in a recent issue. It is, of course, entirely unscientific to assume such a thing, but still we are forced to admit that in this woeful world there exist objects with an almost palpable energy of menace, spatulas that seem cursed, couches that contain literal and metaphorical stains of the past, houses that seem to perpetually groan and moan for the sins contained in their environs. Can we explain this? No. Do we understand this? We do not. Do we know that criminals exist? We do. We are also terribly and unfortunately certain that the criminal element will be forever among us. And the arch-nemesis, thought Flora, the arch-nemesis will be forever among us too. Ulysses' arch-nemesis is in that house right now. Do you remember the darkness of 10,000 hands? Flora said to her father. Yep, said her father. He wields 10,000 hands of anger, greed, and revenge. He is the sworn enemy of Incandesto. He's Incandesto's arch-nemesis, said Flora. Right, said her father. I tell you what, the darkness of 10,000 hands better stay away from our squirrel. He honked the horn. Home the warrior, he shouted. Home the cat-conquering superhero squirrel. Ulysses puffed out his chest. Let's go, Flora said. We have to do it. We have to face the arch-nemesis. Right, said her father. Bravely forward. And he honked the horn again. Chapter 43. Treacle. They walked into the house, and the little shepherdess was waiting for them. She was standing where she always stood, the lamb at her feet, the tiny globe above her head, and a look on her face that said, I know something you don't know. Flora's father took off his hat and bowed to the lamp. George Buckman, he said. How do you do? Hello, Flora shouted into the silence of the house. From the kitchen came the sound of laughter. Mom, said Flora. No one answered. Flora's sense of foreboding deepened, expanded, and then her mother spoke. She said, That's absolutely right, William. William? William? There was only one William that Flora knew. What would he be doing in the kitchen with a known arch-nemesis? And then came the familiar rattle of the typewriter keys being struck, the thwack of the carriage return being hit. Ulysses' grip on her shoulder tightened. He let out a small chirrup of excitement. Her mother laughed again. The laughter was followed by the truly terrifying words, Thank you so much, William. Shh, said Flora to her father, who was standing, listening, his hat in his hands and a goofy smile on his face. There was a small, round drop of blood on his ear bandage. It looked oddly festive. You stay here, Flora said to him. Ulysses and I will go and check this out. Right, said her father. You bet, I'll stay here. He put his hat on his head. He nodded. Flora, superhero on her shoulder, walked quietly, stealthily through the living room and into the dining room, and stood before the closed kitchen door. She held herself very still. She made herself into a giant ear. She was getting extremely good at making herself into a giant ear. Flora listened, and she could feel Ulysses, his body tense and expectant, listening too. Her mother spoke. She said, Yes, it will go like this. Frederico, I have dreamed of you for eons. No, said another voice, a high, thin, and extremely annoying voice. I've dreamed of you for all eternity. Ooh, said Flora's mother, for all eternity. That's good. More poetic. Ulysses shifted his position on Flora's shoulder. He nodded. Yes, exactly, said William Spiver. More poetic. Eons. Sounds too geological. There's nothing romantic about geology, I assure you. Okay, said Flora's mother. Right. What's next, William? Actually, said William Spiver, if you don't mind, I would prefer to be called William Spiver. Of course, said Flora's mother. I'm sorry. What's next, William Spiver? Let me see, said William Spiver. I suppose Frederico would say, and I have dreamed of you, Angelique, my darling. I must tell you that they were dreams so vivid and beautiful that I am loath to wake to reality. Ooh, that's good. Hold on a sec. The typewriter keys came to clacking life. The carriage returned dinged. Do you think that's good? Flora whispered to Ulysses. Do you think that's good writing? Ulysses shook his head. His whiskers brushed against her cheek. I don't think so either, she said. Actually, she thought it was terrible. It was sickly sweet nonsense. There was a word for that. What was it? Treacle. That was it. Having located the correct word, Flora felt a sudden need to say the word aloud, and so she did. She pushed open the kitchen door. She stepped forward. Treacle! She shouted. Flora, said her mother. Treacle? Said William Spiver. Yes, said Flora. She was pleased that with one simple word, she had answered two very important questions. Yes, she was Flora, and yes, it was Treacle. Chapter 44. Her Treacherous Heart. William Spiver was wearing his dark glasses. There was a pitzer pop in his mouth. He was smiling. He looked exactly like a villain. That's what Flora's brain thought, but her heart, her treacherous heart, rose up joyfully inside of her at the sight of him. Flora's heart was actually glad to see William Spiver. There was so much she wanted to talk to him about. Pascal's wager, Dr. Measham, the other Dr. Measham, giant squids, giant donuts, and who was dunking them. If he had ever heard of a place called Blundermeason, if he had ever sat on a horsehair sofa. But William Spiver was sitting beside Ulysses' arch nemesis, smiling. Obviously, he could not be trusted. Florabelle, said William Spiver. It's me, said Flora. I'm surprised you don't smell me, William Spiver, since you can smell everything. I have never claimed to be able to smell everything. However, it is true that right now I am smelling squirrel, and there is another odor. It is something sweet, some scent redolent of school lunchrooms on rainy Thursdays. What is it? Jelly? Yes, grape jelly. I smell squirrel and grape jelly. Squirrel, said Flora's mother. She turned away from the typewriter. She looked at Flora. Squirrel, she said. What in the world are you doing back here with that squirrel? I told your father. This malfeasance must be stopped, shouted Flora. Her mother, hands still poised over the keys of the typewriter, stared at Flora with her mouth open. William Spiver, for once, was silent. On Flora's shoulder, the squirrel trembled. Flora slowly raised her left arm. She pointed at her mother. She said, What did you tell my father to do to the squirrel? Her mother cleared her throat. I told your father, but the sentence remained unfinished, the truth unuttered, because the kitchen door suddenly swung open to reveal Flora's father. George Buckman, he said to the room at large. How do you do? He walked into the kitchen. He stood beside Flora. George, what in the world, said Flora's mother. You look like you've been in a battle. I am fine, just fine. I was saved by the squirrel. What? Said Flora's mother. I was attacked by Mr. Klaus. He landed on my head and... This is fascinating, said William Spiver, but may I interrupt for a moment? Absolutely. Who is Mr. Klaus? Mr. Klaus is a landlord and also a cat, a large cat. Usually he attacks ankles. This time it was the head, my head. It was a very surprising attack. I wasn't prepared. And, said William Spiver, oh yes, and Mr. Klaus bit my ear, and there was a lot of pain, and the squirrel rescued me. Have you lost your mind? Said Flora's mother. I don't think so, said Flora's father. He smiled hopefully. Can't you handle the smallest task? I asked you to take care of the squirrel situation. Flora felt a wave of anger roll through her. Quit speaking euphemistically, she said. Quit calling it the squirrel situation. You asked him to kill. You asked him to murder my squirrel. Ulysses let out a chirp of agreement, and then the kitchen became as silent as a tomb.